Okay, many thanks. So I will just present a bit Professor Jean Daniel Nicoud, who is the father of Smaky computer, maybe well known for the mouse. He developed the DEPRA mouse, which is the origin of all mouse we use today. Then Logitech started to sell the DEPRA mouse, and finally they did their mouse. And we will do a small interview about, I have different questions to ask to Jean Daniel about all his life that is dedicated to a lot of different inventions. So the first question is, how do you had to do it all over again? What would you change? If you had to do it all over again, what would you change?
Well, it's difficult to say because when you start in being interested in electronic, you continue, of course, with logic, with computers, and once you have started the process, it's so fascinating to invent new things, to use new components, that you are never disappointed to have not done some other thing. So, okay, it's my life, and changing the parameters would be earlier. I've been very interested in planes. I've built plenty of models, but I find much more fascinating to use electronic, and there's a flexibility. Well, you have seen what has happened. Everything has increased in complexity, and every day there was new question about new components, new way of building things, new technology. And when the microprocessor programming was getting too simple, I was not interested in software myself, but with the robots, plenty of applications of smart computers. Neural networks was a big hope, but we were 20 years too early. The technology was not complex enough to play with, to do something interesting with neural networks. Okay.
Let's continue. So the second question is, you are born inventor, and how were your first guinea pigs? The first people that test your ideas? Who was the people?
How to get the people. And of course, when you are a professor, you have plenty of students, and the students have to ask for projects. You have to propose them projects, and if the project is interesting, you get plenty of students. And if the projects are known to be difficult, you get smart students. You get more smarter students when it's known that it is new and you will have to invent, you will have to create. And so it was my luck, because I got really good students. I got also a very good technician, André Guignard, and a previous one who was also really excellent. So I was in an environment where there was enough money, good students, and a good team to build things. And of course we had the printed circuit board, for instance, was a big problem. But we started to make printed circuit board at the EPFL because I managed to convince that it was urgent to go in that direction. I was, of course, the first professor interested in PCB, but and it was a single phase, so we had to invent things to be able to go to the complexity with single side, no through hole that could facilitate. But okay, without picture I cannot show, but it was a really good idea which allow us to build complex circuits quickly. Because by that time it was months to get a double-sided circuit and very expensive. And in a few days we were able to wire wrap. It wasn't better than wire wrap for those who know the wire wrap.
Okay. So, do you think that the mouse or the keyboard will disappear? How do you imagine the computer of the future?
Well, it's amazing that people using the tablet every day believe that they can live only with the tablet. But if you go to any place where some work is being done, you will find a big screen, frequently 2 screens. You will find menu, you will find an incredible amount of information on the screen, and how to select that information. So you need the mouse. The mouse will stay in the professional way. But of course, if you're just interested to talk to people, to telephone, to play games, that's a different world. So now, of course, the fraction of time professionally spent in front of a big screen may decrease, and people will be more frequently with a tablet than with a mouse. But the mouse, you see what it's progressing, it's taking shapes which make the mouse more efficient, and the mouse is not dead. And when we started in the 72, because I made the first prototype in 72, but we had to wait 80 to have a screen where we could interact with the tool. But we were also studying a different device, pointing with a digit and have pointing with a small kind of joystick. And clearly the mouse was better, so we just had to wait for a good screen.
Okay, so why Smaky? You did a Smaky computer, why Smaky? Why you did it?
Well, I started with a Nova mini computer for teaching how to program a mini computer, and that was very expensive. We made a very interesting project, which was a terminal of the Nova computer that was looking as a Nova computer, because I had 16, 20 students, but I couldn't buy 16 Nova mini computers. So the project was to make, what is a Nova computer? It's a front panel with switches. And then if you do an interface toward a Nova, the Nova can handle multiple of these panels. Of course, we immediately around the Nova, we put devices like stepping motors, like a screen and keyboards, and what was funny, the Nova computer has 4K of memory, and every student had 256 bytes of memory. This was enough to learn how to program. Well, we didn't finish this project. We built 4 units, but not 16, because it takes time to develop, and the microprocessor were coming, and we switched to the microprocessor, of course, as soon as it was possible to have a 8080 for 600 francs and not a Nova computers for 10,000. So the first 8080 was 16 francs, 600.
So,
But I will not tell all the story.
so it's with the microprocessor that it started, in fact. It's with the microprocessor that it started. And when have you had the idea to do a Smaky computer, in fact? That's the question.
Well, it was clear. The architecture of a Nova, of a mini computer, is quite simple. So imagining to put this in a chip, the 4004 was the first one. I put a student on the 4004, and he made a very interesting project, going to the industry to continue this project. But I was not interested in the 4004 because it has not enough power to handle a screen, to handle a keyboard. So of course, as soon as the 8080 was announced, this was the perfect what we have to do with this. And immediately I wanted to have a screen, I wanted to have a keyboard, I wanted to have a floppy disk, I wanted to have everything, a printer. And that was plenty of projects we have been working with students. And just...
and then it started.
With your question, I have too many things to
tell. Yeah. So
to tell.
Another question for the Smaky. You did a lot of Smaky. You never made a Smaky that speak other language than French. Do you have an idea if there was a project to do a computer speaking German, for example, or English? You did a computer that speak only French. So the question is why? And in the team of the Smaky, there is a lot of Swiss-German people.
By that time, my students were speaking French. Now it's changing. But my objective was pedagogical. I was a teacher, and I wanted to make my teaching as efficient as possible. So I just needed a keyboard, a screen, an assembler, and more memory, more possibility to connect interface. I was teaching interfacing to microprocessor. So what happened, of course, is quickly people were interested with my Smaky. They had a graphic screen, so the first request was to say, I need a terminal. Digital equipment terminal are alphanumeric. The Tektronix you can see is too expensive. So your Smaky has a graphic screen. I can play with it. And they were connecting the Smaky on a big computer just to have a graphic terminal. So this was my first collaboration with the ETH to sell them a Smaky so they can do graphic with Professor Nicoud, for those who have known it. Okay, so then the market was interested from teacher in the French part of Switzerland, of course. And my wife helped to start a company selling the Smaky, but it was for local teacher in the French part and in Valais and Neuchâtel. And okay, so happily we were not interested in the business of competing with Apple and other, Atari, etc., who was doing games. And so the success of the Smaky was because the market was not too large, and the people doing the software were very good and were not influenced by marketing people saying you should do like digital, like Apple, you should do like Atari, and they were free to invent what they felt, they had the feeling was the best. And if you have a very small team, they have to be ultra motivated. And they were, it's incredible what a single guy has been done, Daniel Nicoud, being able to do the documentation, to have the good idea for the interaction, and doing very complex software, as complex as what was found on the Macintosh.
Okay, so in 2016 we meet with the Smaky users group. There is a lot of people from the Smaky users group, and the question was, what was the motivation behind the Smaky users group to share the information? That was the idea for the SMUG.
Well, as soon as you have customers, if they are in a small geographic area, you naturally interact with these people. And these teachers were in the French part of Switzerland, and EPSITEC was organizing every 2, 3, 5 times a year a meeting of these professors and early buyers of the Smaky. And this was very, very successful. There were up to 100 people coming. Having presentation from the designers of EPSITEC for the new software. I was presenting the new machine. I was only doing the hardware, using the new microprocessor, the new memory, making a board. And then all the software, my education objective was to master all the new hardware components. And of course the team developing the Smaky, interacting with the teachers, was partly former students, which I couldn't keep. They had to go to industry, so it was really perfect. I was selecting the best students, working on the prototype of Smaky, and then they were going to EPSITEC and continuing to develop, adding, of course, commercial value to the text editor had to be improved for the customers, a drawing editor, well, everything which Apple was doing was quickly not copied. It was invented simultaneously. And of course, as soon when we were looking to be better than what was doing by the competitors. And better, it's not the good word. The good word is more suitable for the customers. And of course, accent. You cannot work in French without accents. And Apple came and IBM came with accent with many years of delay. So we were ready from the very first day.
Okay, so, and in 2000 you created robots. Why this turn, and what was the purpose to build robots? The robots, why you build the robots in 2000?
Well, of course, what happened is we were developing with 60,000 family. New memories made possible to have a graphic screen, to have a laser printer. But after internet came, and clearly with internet, the team was too small. And the requirements of communication, etc., this was very big teams required. And so now the big question was, we wanted to keep the compatibility with the software. And of course, the cost of the Smaky was getting too expensive to continue. So, interesting student project was, should we put a Smaky in a PC or a PC in a Smaky? And we made a board to have a Smaky in a PC with the connector to play with hardware, and then just quickly it became the Smaky Infini because it was possible to emulate. So you can now on PC use all the software, the Smaky software of the 80s, because there has been no change on the operating system. But your question was different, but this was to show that for me suddenly I was not interested anymore in PC, but I was very interested in microcontrollers, which were getting very complex, and it was a basic for doing robots. So we did plenty of robots, very interesting, very powerful, very simple, very small, and so I think that was. It was bringing all the problem of the sensors and all the problem of the communication between robots and okay, so that was, and of course immediately how can we use neural network with robots to make them intelligent?
Okay, so as someone who has a lot of doubters, tell us why women rarely choose a technical profession, especially in computer science. Do you have an idea?
Well, it's easy to understand by that time because the culture was completely different. Now, I think there's no more difference from the first age. Okay, there are still some. But clearly, women are encouraged, well, girls are encouraged for 10 years to have as easy access to computers as possible. And it helps a little, but not so much. So I think people studying the brain can. Will it? I'm not sure it will change. There will be the statistic will come close to 50%, to the same as men. But the nature of the work, I think, will not be the same. For doing engineering, for me it's clear there will never be 50% of girls. But in the engineering department, there will be 50% of girls. But they will do some administrative control activity and not the mind you need to develop hardware, I think is special, like the mind for art, like, and it's clear that there are differences between men and women.
But you had a wonderful wife that just was the director of EPSITEC for years. That was somebody incredible. And she was mathematician.
Yes, yes.
She was managing
she was the exception. Because she was not a real girl. She had an interest in mathematics from the very first day. And okay.
Okay. So, could it be said?
Okay.
Okay. Could it be said that the invention of the graphical interface is yours, and that the first Smaky were a source of inspiration for other competitors, especially in the United States? That's a question. So.
You mentioned the Hermet?
No, not yet. The Hermet?
No, ask again the question.
So, could it be said that the invention of graphical interface is yours, and that the first Smaky were a source of inspiration for other competitors, especially United States, in the United States?
Especially who?
In the United States or in America?
Well, I do not have a good reply for this.
I have a second question that is more close to that. There is a rumor that says that Bill Gates has seen once Smaky computers, and then they copy the graphical interface for the WinFile application. Is it true? That's the question.
No, I do not know where you find this. Clearly, the Americans were ignoring all what's happening in Europe. And the French was fighting to try to talk about their own product, but
when you
they are strong enough, and we did try to make publicity about the Smaky. It was not our objective.
So yeah, this was not very well known, the Smaky computers.
We had no new idea. The great idea. We had efficient idea. I think the way our text editor, the keyboard, there was plenty of small invention on this human interaction, which of course disappeared because IBM showed how to make it.
Okay, so as a physicist, do you think that one day we will be able to walk on Mars?
Well, I do not see a relation. It's a human mind. Why didn't we go to the moon? We'll try to go to Mars. We'll try to go further if it works. Okay, we need to invent and to try. And I think it's a stupid, considering now all the environmental problem we have, but it's a way to better understand the technology we will continue to need. Okay, so
anyway, without
there are people who think we could stop everything and stay at the same place, but there are others who feel that we need to have hard to follow objective to find new technology, and clearly now we need better technology to control the energy, to provide us a source of energy, and such a project going to Mars imply new ideas, new technologies, and a lot of money is required for this. So, okay, we are ready to pay for this kind of project. It will help.
Okay.
And it's a pleasure for many engineers similar to me who like to go further and invent new things.
Yeah, but without computer, we were not able to go to moon, to the space. So it's really important to have computers.
Okay.
So, last question: if you have a message to pass, you would like to pass to the young generation of engineers, what would be the message for the next generation of computer scientists, engineers?
They have to be motivated and search what is the best for the future. So simultaneously they have to find an activity they like and make that activity as useful as possible. And continue to learn because nothing can stop today.
Okay, this will conclude this interview. Many thanks, Jean Daniel.
Okay.
And yeah,
Goodbye. Thank you.
so thank you.